know what we need to do is pin, yippee, in order to know what we're going to sew. I think it's going to be easier if we sew these side pieces together before we sew it on here. And the reason for that is because if you sew one of these on here, okay, and then you sew the other one on there, you're going to have
a little open gap.
Yeah, you're going to have an open gap all the way up until where it's sewed, and then you can't split it. But if you do it this way, you've created just one piece that goes across that.
Simple.
Yeah, so it's always easier to start on the side ones, and that's what we're going to do. Have our designs facing up. The design that is on there up. Take one and flip it upside down on top of it. You want the two sides kissing. And then line it up together. And you want to do hand sewing. So we're going to do hand sewing.
Yippee.
And then once you have that all matched up, we're going to take some pins. They're small ones. This is the pin cushion that I made. And you poke it through. And then poke it through again. So it created that. Just to hold it there. And
I've seen you do this so many times.
Maybe just two of them. Just to hold it there. Like that.
I did mine in the middle.
You can do one in the middle, but then it like also can move a little on the side. And I'm so used to doing it in a machine now that I make sure it's held together very well. And it's usually best when they're facing the same direction so that you don't get poked. And now you're going the opposite direction. You see? That way when you're sewing, you're not working against the needle because these pin needles are sharp. Do the same thing to our other two pieces. Color side up. And then flip it so that tops are touching. There we go. Okay. All right, now we're going to draw a straight line for sewing reference. So until you get used to sewing and know how to sew perfectly straight, we're going to draw a line for you to sew on. Straight on the bottom. And we're going to give it, I'm going to put this is how we're going to know that's straight, just because I'm matching it there. And it's keeping it on the line here. We're actually going to lose a little space again on the sides for that fabric, but that gets cleaned up at the very end because we're losing space from sewing. So some of the sides will probably have to come off again, but okay. You don't want to use dark markers on light fabric, like black on yellow or something. And I've made a straight line so that that's where I know to sew. So make sure that your bottom is lined up straight first, okay? And hold on, you need this.
So I have to.
Yes.
Like that, or?
And then make sure it's matched up on the lines. Now, oh, we're a little low. We don't need that much sew space, so let's go up a little. Let's go to this line and that line. There we go. Draw that. Okay. You were actually kind of resting like that. Put your tip of the marker against the thing. There you go. And oh, your pin falling out. Same thing to the other piece. We're going to sew across the line so that we can't see our thread when it opens. And we'll leave some more space on the side, but we'll cut that up at the end. Or we can even leave it actually and fold it over, and that will create, like if we center it. Let me show you here. If we center it, we'll have a little extra fabric on both sides. And depending how much it was, like in some cases I've done this with quilts, you just take that and you can sew it over and it creates kind of like a binding. It goes on the edges. So I've got my lines drawn on here. You have one more to do.
Yippee.
Yep, your body is lined up correctly. Yep. And if things don't know, you can freestyle a little after. We're just going to, So now we're going to sew. I've got embroidery needles. They're thicker, but I think they're going to be easier for you to start with threading because it has a thicker threading hole. Again, it doesn't really matter what color thread because we're not going to see it. But if you use darker thread on lighter fabric, it's more likely to be seen. Quilting on top, then you can pick colored thread and make designs. Now that I can show you on a whole different day. That's usually done with sewing machines. You can also do it by hand. But that's when you sew through the fabric and the binding and create designs, you know, like patterns through it. So, and then you're going to pull a whole bunch out. And did you create a little tail? When you pulled it through, how much is on the other side? Just a little, or yeah, could take more. Yep, there you go. It's good to have a good tail so you don't lose it. Not as much thread as you feel you can work with. That should be good. Here's some scissors and cut it. I don't know, 2-3 inches tail. And then I'm going to pinch these together while we're sewing. I was going to say, you can always give it one simple knot. Sometimes a knot makes it difficult to pull.
That's what I just did.
Well, in most cases when you're hand sewing, a knot is not always advisable.
Oh.
The reason why is because the sewing needles are usually much smaller, and when you create a knot, it gets thicker than the needle, and then it won't go through the hole. But because these are embroidery needles and they are thicker, one little simple knot with the tail, like that, will be fine, because it's not thicker than the needle. At the bottom, at the very end,
I just set that.
I'm poking it through so that when the sharp part comes out on the line. And I just started as close to the edge as I could without it, you know, ripping fabric. And then you pull, 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 and create a tail down there. And what we're going to hold it. And one knot. Just one knot. I just created a knot. You can also use the smaller side. Like set your needle down. We set your needle down and use the smaller side to do it. I just let the needle bite. I don't like having up and down. That's all we need to do.
That's easy.
Yeah. That's all we're going to do. And since we started, we came up on the top, we need to go back down. And just maybe a 1/4 inch or so away from the where you came up. And pull it tight. That's my tail. And if you pull too tight, you're going to make the fabric pucker up, and so you just pull it through until it's just gone through. Like just tight, I mean. So we're going to pull it until it's just done. We don't want to pull any tighter than that. Yep. And it's because it's hand sewing. Hand sewing takes time. I mean, quilts used to take me weeks sometimes because I hand sewed everything about it. It's always careful to make sure, or important, I mean, to make sure that you know what your thread is doing, where your thread is at in the state of your thread. Because if it knots on the way to there, you know, that, I mean, that's preventable. So I'm just creating a basic little up and down, about 1/4 inch apart. More comfortable you get the smaller, you can also go very tiny ones really close to each other. Up and down, get really close, really tiny, you don't have to use that. This up and down, you just hold the line section. Or if you feel like you don't need any more, take it out there. If you feel like you've got a good fabric, you're on the line, it's not easier to take it at the same time. You don't have to constantly paste it where we're going to do it. Just always run, and you're not straight lines, and that, I'm good. And then when I get to cross there, and if you want extra security, go backwards and do it again. I've gone all the way to the end. Then I'm just tying a finishing knot on that. I do it a couple of times to make sure it's extra secure.
Wait, how do I end it?
Okay. You're at the top. So you know what you can do before you pull it all the way through? Put it through there and pull it. And you're going to also create a knot while you do that, since you're not going backwards. There you go. And you've got a knot like that. And since I went back to it, I'm going to tie the two tails together. That's why I also like doing it back, because I go back to the starting point. You go backwards. You're going back to the starting point so you can tie the two tails together. Sew up the next one. Turn the iron back on. Oh, you didn't put the pins. Or... That's not good, because then that's how they get on the ground, and then you step on them. Open them, and voila, they are sewn. So what we need the iron for are the backs, because look, they look like little teepee, or I don't know, tents. So we're going to spread it to the sew line, give it a good tug, make sure it's, out, and fold these down in whichever direction it most easily folds, and give it a good crease fold. And that's what we're going to sew down, so that when we connect it to that, it's one flat piece and we're not having to worry about that. Let that sit on
Isn't
there.
the smell?
Oh, yes, thank you. You shouldn't heat on this. See,
Whoa.
only takes a second. And then okay, so now we need to put the decorative side up.
And put it on top or put it on the bottom?
Remember, they kiss. Mwah.
So you sew this and then you flip it and then sew it back over here?
Yep, and then after that we flip it back and do the color to color, sew it and flip it.
Oh.
That on top, and if it's longer, then you would just center it out and make sure. I'm gonna flip it because I want to keep that down. It doesn't matter which side you sew or pin, as long as it's connected. Pin together. Okay. Pin it together, not sew it yet. Measure the bottom. Straight, then bottom straight. I'm gonna do 117. Let me sew over here. I'm going to sew them that way. It's connected. I'm going to pin my other two now, depending what you want it to look like. If you want it to match like this.
No, I might do it there.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. Then you would do it like that. But if you want it diagonal, then you do it like that.
Okay.
Okay?
Just the complete opposite.
Just the opposite, yeah. And you put it on top. Take a kiss, pin, make a line, and sew. I'm going to sew the side.
Just like that?
Yep. Just like this. Oops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that when it flips is up, because if you did it the other way, then it would have been, yeah, that's not right. And you can always, like, when you pin and everything before you sew, you can always check to make sure things come out the way you're intending it to before you actually sew it together. After you get it, and if you sew diagonal, it's like cutting diagonal. It'll come when you unfold it to reveal. It'll be diagonal. Let's say I ran out of thread right here. Okay. Then I would just obviously take what's left in there and take it off my needle. Put more thread on the needle like I'm starting all over. And you continue where you left off and tie those strings together, finish, and yeah, it's the same process. You're just starting over. 2 and 3 because it's lucky. Got the tail. Now I'm going to turn the iron back on so that we can iron down this, just so it's not like bumpy in the quilt or anything. Everything will be smooth, and I'll stretch it out. You can pre-crease it. Oops, I'm doing it on the mat again.
Scissors.
I'll let you outside in just a second.
Like
so
that?
Yep. Look at that. Flip it over.
Just
Pull it. Stretch it. Stretch. Yep. And you could do it inwards, but I did mine outwards.
I did mine inwards.
So that, because if you do it inwards, look at what happens on the side. Sometimes it can curl this too much, and then you're left with, not as much fabric as you should. So it'll work better this way. You just kind of got to give it a crease, free crease. There you go. Move it around. You can scoot your fabric up too. And then start at the bottom, center it up like this, and then, oops, like your cruise ship going through. Okay. I'm going to turn the iron off. All right, now we're going to cut some batting material. All right. Almost, not quite that way. But you can on that one. Alrighty, find a straight edge so that we can
find a straight corner.
Something. Yep, there you go. So that we use the material wisely. Batting is expensive, and I'm now cutting on the table, but I mean it's an epoxy table. And I'm gonna.
Why can't I just use scissors?
You can.
Oh, I can?
Yeah, you can use scissors, but scissors makes it move more. So you chance that, and batting is a little tricky to cut, but yep. What we're gonna do, now that we got this measured out, we're gonna kiss these two, our backing and our top. So find the top of your backing and connect it to the top of your quilt. Yep. Then put your batting on top of that.
Oh, on top, not the bottom. Okay.
Yep. On top of it like this.
So I can align it first.
Wait, where's your batting? Oh, okay, underneath. I see. Okay. There you go. And then you just put that on top. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew here, 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 and almost all the way here. We're going to leave a little space.
And flip.
And then turn it inside out and sew it closed.
Simple.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm making sure is that all of this is aligned properly. And I'm going to make a lines now. Watch out for your stuff. Beep, 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 beep.
Get my thread ready.
I'm going to make the lines so for sewing. I'm going to make the line before I pin, actually.
Yeah.
You do it on the felt side, but it kind of sticks to the felt, the batting, so that's why I do it on the fabric side. And now I'm going to pin it up without moving it. I'm not going to stick this one. I remind myself.
soft.
I don't want that puckering at all, so make sure I don't do that too tight. Okay. Then we're going to sew around. I probably should have started where the opening was because I'm going to have to do that side too. See, I started right here, but my opening is over here. So I'm going to have to, I'll just make my opening right here, I guess. I'll leave a little tail so I can use that to
I'm still working.
knot up when I get over here. It'll connect there and there. Take these pins out. And my hole might be a little small, but it'll work. We're going to turn it.
I'm going around here and then I'll end up going over here as well.
Yep, as long as you don't close it all the way and leave one opening. That's all I did, one small opening. And I'm just flipping it inside out very carefully without ripping my seams. I did kind of secure one of the seams, but not the other. I'm going to reach through and straighten it out. Sometimes I'd say cut off the corners, like if it was a lot of fabric, but we don't have a lot of extra. Like if we sewed way down here, let's say your lines were right here and here, then you would cut this corner off after it so it didn't have a big bump on the inside. But none of our corners are like that, so.
This one kind of is.
Kind of, yeah. Oh no! I missed some of the yellow. I'll just go through and fix that, but yeah, that's why you make sure all the fabric's connecting when you do it so that, you know, and I had a feeling I was missing a little of the yellow though, just because the yellow is really stretchy, but I'll just turn it back inside out and just re-sew those places a little further down to make sure I grab that fabric because I didn't quite grab it and pull it tight enough, see? It's also good to reinforce where you plan on turning it inside out. I reinforced it better on this one so I can kind of, you know, take that tail and pull it tight. Oops. But on the other side, I did not reinforce it because I was not planning that to be my start. I wasn't thinking about that. Anyways. Once it's all turned inside out, then you've technically basically got your blanket quilt. Oh, it's kind of like a hot pad. We've made hot pads. So what you would do here is fold that over, fold that inwards on the side like that. Yellow one to fold. I'm going to have to fix mine because I have to fix the inside. I can do that later, but let's fold the batting and the yellow. And the red. Hit my finger to help it roll. Difficult time because I didn't do the best of job on mine right there because I'm in a hurry just to try to get this video. That's basically how you do it. Okay, there we go. There we go. I got it. See how it's all folded now? Mm-hmm. And then you would just sew as close to the edge like that as you could. And there is your quilt. So she's going to finish up hers. She's going to sew all the way around like I did. So lift it forward a little for a sec. So all the way around, and she's going to leave a gap as well. Hopefully she won't miss any spots like I missed.
I probably will.
Well, the best way to tell is look, when you're putting your needle through, just make sure you have all three. That's it. I wasn't making sure I had the yellow in a couple of spots because I was just trying to get it done because we've been recording for a while. I don't know how much space my phone's going to allow, and I wanted to at least get to this part so that when we got to here, you fold in the sides, fold this over the batting, fold that down so that it matches, and you're just going to sew from here to here, you know, as close to the edge as you can. Hot pad, get it? Hot peppers, hot pad for the oven. I don't know if it'll work, but it might. And then you turn it inside out. Yep. Reach your hand in there. Yeah, it might pull apart a little bit, and then you fix it, you know, when you're sewing or whatever. So, put your hand in it, okay? Grab it. And then as you're pulling your hand out, it comes with it. Oh, you did beautifully. Yeah, you did miss a little right there. You missed a little of the gray. But all you have to do is turn it back inside out and just re-sew the area that it's missed. So you always make sure. We did do these in a little bit of a hurry, too. You did actually really well. You kept up really well. Only a couple edges up there and here that you missed. But other than that, yeah, you did pretty darn good. Look at that. Pretty darn good. Just a couple little spots that will be a quick fix. And then for here, oh, you left the whole top open.
What does that mean?
The whole top.
Oh.
That's fine. I only left half of the top.
Well, it kept on threading.
Oh, that's fine. See? Just fold in, fold, and then you would fold. Now you can also fix it if you want before you fold and sew it closed so that it matches. Okay, and then you would like pin that so that it stays closed. Blah blah blah, and then you would just sew that across and sew it closed. And you can do that after you fix that if you want. You have made basically a quilt. This is how you would make a quilt. This is just a smaller version, and it takes longer. Usually, you have to make the whole row, and then you connect the rows and make columns. And then you turn that whole thing and connect it to a backing.
Why can't I just sew it from the outside?
You can. You can also do this. You can also give it like this really cool look by sewing all the way across the whole thing. And it kind of gives, you can see the thread, and it kind of gives it a nice little flat look. And you can choose darker blue so the thread stands out, or you can use a green or, you know, anything like that. And you can do. Alrighty. Any questions?
No.
Okay, good job.